Hey everyone, I'm Brought Motion. In this video, I'm going to animate a fight scene between Ryu from Street Fighter and Black Panther from Black Panther. I'll show you my process and I'll explain the methods I use to get the best possible, for me at least, final animation. Now before I even start, I have to clarify that I have no idea who would actually win this fight. I did some research on both characters to try to get an understanding of their abilities, but didn't find a definitive answer on how to scale these guys against each other. Given the state of Western comics, I imagine Black Panther probably has some random instance of him becoming the god of panthers, which gives him omniscience as he sits on the panther throne and possesses the pantheric power to turn anything into a panther. Though I think he normally sits at the range of a super soldier like Captain America, plus impenetrable vibranium armor and highly advanced technology. And Ryu from Street Fighter probably has some feat with him shoryukening a mountain into pieces or something. But I'd very much appreciate it if you could just suspend your disbelief, don't worry so much about power scaling and feats, and just focus on the real feats that matter here. Speaking of feat, I used my hands to sketch out the storyboard of my animation. This lets me plan out my shots and gives me time to think about what I want the characters to do. Like, which character should I have winning? Who do you think should win this fight? No, really. I need opinions before I finish the storyboard, as I don't want to get it wrong and get yelled at by completely non-biased people who happen to be diehard fans of one of these characters. Let me know in the comments so I can read them and finish storyboarding the fight before the end of the video. I actually don't always storyboard the entire fight before animating, as my attention span, like yours, is completely fried. And if I don't have many different activities to switch between, I will lose my patience and go insane. So I jumped into animating after I finished a couple of pages of storyboards. First we have Ryu doing Ryu things, traveling and looking for fights. He comes across a strange looking piece of metal. It's something he'd never seen before, and he goes to pick it up, thinking he might be able to sell this on Facebook Marketplace. Little does he know, this specific type of metal is a very rare resource guarded by an entire hidden, highly advanced nation, while also being one of the most sought after substances in the world. You guessed it, it's Robux. And Black Panther has already claimed this one. Now why is this piece of vibranium randomly on a piece of cardboard? Because in the next scene a spear comes in and sticks itself into the ground, and I just didn't want to drill a hole into my table so I could stick this spear in it. Not again. Now that the setup is there to have these two battle, we can get into some cool action sequences. It helps to look into some source material so you can have some reference for how these characters fight and what moves they might use. I take that inspiration and implement it into my storyboards before animating it. I've spent a lot of time making random effects and cutouts for my stop motion films, with some looking good and others just being passable. But these smoke effects are some of the most versatile and valuable pieces I've ever made. I made 3 drawings for each puff of smoke. The 3 drawings compose a loop, and when switched out with each other after each frame, we get some 2D animated looking effects. I think it looks especially nice in this scene, portraying a powerful strike and giving us a short pause in the action. You'll notice here that I have this stand holding up the figure for a leaping action. A lot of people ask me for a tutorial on how I remove the stand from the shot when I'm dealing with a scene with the character in the air, and today is finally the day that I show you. The first thing you're going to do is place your action figure and stand in your desired position on the table. Here it's important to make sure your positioning is finalized. Once you have your shot framed and composed how you want it, you can move on to the next crucial step. In order to remove the stand from the shot, what you're going to do next is very carefully detach the figure, remove the stand from the view of the camera, and make sure to leave the figure in place, posed perfectly for your shot. and that's my tutorial for how to remove the puppet stand from your animation. I'm not sure why so many people were asking me about this, as I thought the solution was just common sense, but in case there was any confusion, I'm happy to have cleared things up for you. Now back to my animation process. If you're watching this and are wondering what my frame rate is when animating, don't comment asking about it, because I'm about to tell you. Instead, if you see anyone else commenting asking about the frame rate, reply to them, make fun of them for not watching the whole video. Just kidding, be nice. The frame rate I use for most of this animation is 24 frames per second, but with many sections held on 2s. This means I doubled the exposure on some frames, effectively switching between 12 and 24 FPS for different moments during each shot. This lets me be flexible about faster or slower movements within a single scene. I will mention that the first couple of shots in the animation were filmed at 15 or 16 frames per second, but I realized that was dumb because my final export will be at 24 frames per second, so some frames would get cut and the timing got a little bit weird. And even though I just made a video talking about what the ideal frame rate is, I think I've settled on just having it be 24 frames per second and then doubling or even tripling the exposure depending on my needs for each movement. I had a lot of fun imagining and sketching out the fight choreography in my storyboards, and I always draw these really roughly and really badly because efficiency, and this is a real thing. It really is important to move on as quickly as possible before you forget what you were going to draw, and not let your mind get stuck on some useless, beautiful, chiseled details. So despite not having played any Street Fighter games or read any Black Panther comics, I still decided these two action figures would be the ideal fit for an animated fight, which really just ended up making it much harder coming up with choreography because I had no idea how exactly these two fought. Here's a mini review section of these two action figures if you're interested at all. First, the Storm Arena Ryu action figure is really solid and good to animate with, but it's a bit stiff in places which made it difficult to get subtle movements sometimes, whereas the Revoltech Black Panther figure has the opposite qualities, being on the loose side and great for subtle movements, buttery smooth joints, but just a little bit too loose, and some of the joints had trouble holding its weight. Also, the torso pops off extremely easily when I push it too much, which is really frustrating and kind of unacceptable for the price of this figure. If you'd like a full review of either of these figures, let me know in the comments so I can take 8 minutes of your time just to tell you exactly what I summarized 15 seconds ago. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. Please enjoy the final product of Ryu vs. Black Panther. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and let me know what other badly researched matchups you'd like me to animate next. And also check out my other videos for more animations, tutorials, and reviews.